Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy TJ. What's going on? What's going on? Alrighty, WBC orders Errol Spence Jr. versus Keith one-time Thurman for the WBC, WBA, and IBF welterweight championships of the world. Now, as we all know, Errol Spence has been real adamant about not fighting Keith Thurman. But since negotiations have come to a close, well, come to a pause with Terrence Bud Crawford. As we know, Terrence Bud Crawford is getting ready to fight. I believe it's December the 10th, December the 11th, one of those days against David Avanesian. I don't really know too much about David. I believe he's the European welterweight champion. So him and Bud is due to do battle in December. Therefore, that left Errol Spence Jr. without a fight. So during the WBC convention a few days ago, last week, the WBC has ordered a lot of fights. And out of those fights, Errol Spence was ordered to defend his WBC title against Keith one-time Thurman, making Keith Thurman the mandatory. Now, Keith Thurman last was seen in the ring defeating Mario Barrios in a 12-round decision. I thought Keith Thurman looked okay for a guy who's been off for so long. I believe Keith Thurman last fight before Barrios was Manny Pacquiao. So for a guy who's been out for a year and a half, 2 years, I thought Keith Thurman had a pretty good fight. That's just my opinion. But I don't know if this Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman fight is going to take place. Now, I want to say one thing. If Errol decides not to fight Keith Thurman, he will be stripped of the WBC title. So I don't see Errol fighting Boots Ennis. I believe Boots Ennis is getting ready to fight Monta Stanionis, who is the WBA regular champion. So I believe Boots is about to fight Stanionis, and the winner will be mandated to fight Earl again if Earl decides to stay at the welterweight division. Now, there's been rumors going around that Bud Crawford said he was going to redo negotiations with Spence in the early part of next year. So I don't know what Spence got going on. I don't even know if the PBC is going to redo negotiations with Bud Crawford, being by how negotiations has ended. So I don't know what's going to go on with that situation. But me personally, I know a lot of people, they not feeling the Keith Thurman versus Spence fight, and rightfully so, because everybody wanted that big undisputed match between Bud and Spence. Everybody wanted that fight, but clearly we're not going to get that fight. So in my opinion, man, I think that would be a good fight, though, man. That's a good backup fight because a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Keith. I still think Keith is a great fighter. I look at Keith Thurman's resume. He fought damn near everybody at welterweight. And he only lost to a former 5 to 8 division champion and a legend, and Manny Pacquiao. He hasn't lost to anybody else. None of his peers has been able to beat Keith. And I know it's a lot of backlash with that as well because Keith Thurman has had a lot of injuries. He has had a lot of time off from the ring. So a lot of those fights could not be made because Keith Thurman was missing in action. So I do understand that part as well. But be that as it may, Keith Thurman only lost to Pacquiao. So we should have had the Keith Thurman versus Spence years ago. And that's why Spence don't want to fight the guy, because when Spence was coming up, he wanted to unify the championships. And, Keith Thurman gave him the runaround, so to speak. So it is what it is. I hope Earl decide to take the fight and not be stripped by the WBC. Because, all the backlash is going to say that Spence ducked him because that was his mandatory. It was mandated. Blase, blase. We know how they go. But I'm looking forward to the fight because I think that will be a good fight. I do favor Spence to win the fight, but I think it's going to be a great fight because Keith Thurman can crack. Keith Thurman is a former unified champion, and I think it will be a great matchup, man. Like I said, I favor Spence, and I don't see Spence stopping Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has never been stopped. He only been knocked down by Pacquiao, so I don't see Spence stopping him. I believe Spence can win believe it or not, I think Spence can win a 12-round split decision at best for Keith Thurman. But I think Earl could win a unanimous decision. I'm going to lean towards the UD in 12 rounds. So, like I say, that would be an interesting fight, a great matchup for a diehard boxing fan like myself. I'm looking forward to that fight if it takes place. Like I say, I hope Spence takes the fight and not be stripped by the WBC, because that fight I mean, we got to have something, man. We so heartbroken that we didn't get Bud versus Spence in November. Now, I understand that that fight was not going to happen in November due to a lot of things behind the scenes. So it is what it is. Early part of next year, I think Spence should be in the ring. Hopefully, it will be against Keith one-time Thurman, and the fans can have a great fight. So y'all tell me what you think, man. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please hit that bell icon so you will be notified every time your boy TJ drops a video. That's all I got. Deuces.